Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I have a guest, my honey Matt. Hot chocolate.
Hello.
Alright, so we decided that a long time ago, like maybe 6 months ago, that we wanted to have a really nice beginning of the year. So we started a long time ago planning a trip. Beginning January 1st, we are going to go to San Francisco and spend a week there. Part of that includes like getting our year of reading kicked off nicely. So Matt and I have very different tastes in books. Matt mostly likes mysteries and horror. I like mysteries. I do not like horror. I have more of an eclectic taste, except for horror. So this whole year, we've pretty much been reading different books. And so we thought it'd be really fun to do a little reading vlog where I bring my top 3 choices that I read in 2022. Matt brings his. We pitch them to one another, and then both of us will choose from that list. I'm choosing from his, he's choosing from mine, to be the first book that we read in 2023. So, let's get things started. You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So, first things first, I could not give you my favorite book of the year.
Why?
Because it's Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and you already read that.
I have read that. We read it on a travel vlog.
So the first one that I'm picking here is All Our Wrong Todays by Elon Mastai. I don't know how to pronounce his name. So this is a book about a guy named Tom who lives in an alternate version of the year 2016. As we all remember, it was a real terrible year. So in Tom's version of 2016, it's like a techno-utopia. And Tom, our main character here, inadvertently travels through time and messes up the world, which gives us the terrible 2016 we're in. And so this is the story of Tom and grappling with being in the wrong timeline.
All right. I am going to be honest. I put this on my TBR all by myself in 2022, but did not get to it. So I'm kind of excited about this one. We'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Great.
So I am going to first recommend Little. Little is by Edward Carey, and it is the life of Madame Tussaud. It is historical fiction. And I listened to this on audiobook, and it was so good. The person it's first person, so she is telling her own story from when she was little. It's a pretty thick book. But I listened to this on audio, and the person who read it just did a great job, and I really loved it. I loved this book so much. So, Little.
I remember you talking about it when you were reading it. This was one of the first books I read at the beginning of the year. This one's called Sleeping Giants, so it's a part of first part of a 3-part series. This is by Sylvain Neuvel, another name I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing correctly. So this one is about a girl named Rose who, when she's a child, stumbles upon a giant robot hand in the ground, and it's the story of the world coming to grips with where did that hand come from.
All right, my next one. The Dictionary of Lost Words. This is about a little girl who her father works in something called the Scriptorium, which is a place where they are putting together the first words that are going into the Oxford English Dictionary. And she figures out, because it's all men putting together these words, and she figures out that they are intentionally leaving out words spoken primarily by women, but more so women of a lower class. And again, I just loved this book a lot. Feisty girls are always my favorite.
Yeah.
And words in the dictionary, it's just...
Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. This is a book, as soon as I heard what this was about, I was like immediately drawn in. So this is very cool. So this is a futuristic tale of a guy named Mickey who he signed up for a program in the military where you would get cloned and then do dangerous missions. And then if you die, you get rebooted, so your memories are uploaded, and they reboot you in a new instance. So this is the 7th iteration of Mickey.
My last book, and the one that's most dear to my heart, is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I adore this book more than I can say. This is about a girl named Mina who lives in a world where, there's a bunch of towns around a sea, and every year there's terrible storms, and the people believe that the reason there's these storms is because of the sea god under the sea, and they have to sacrifice a girl to be his bride every year to make the storms stop. And so the girl that is chosen that year is her brother's fiance. And Mina sees the sadness and the terror in her brother's eyes and takes the place of this girl. She jumps over for his fiance. And all of that happens in the first 8 pages of this book. It is so fast-paced. It's YA. I feel like there's certain books that just have a little piece of your soul in them, and this has a little piece of my soul. I love this book so much. And so this is my final entry into the hopes that Matt will read this book.
I don't normally go for fantasy or even magical realism, but the last fantasy book you recommended to me...
Which was?
Was Beneath the Cerulean Sea. Is that what it's called?
No. The House in the Cerulean Sea.
The House was just all It was a really great story. I think I probably do trust your judgment on this genre. So.
All right, so those are the ones for me. It is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, The Dictionary of Lost Words, and Little. These are the ones that I am putting up for submission to be Matt's first book in 2023. And Matt is putting up...
I've got Mickey 7, Sleeping Giants, and All Our Wrong Todays.
All right, do you want to go first? Which book are you going to choose?
I have to pick right now.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm going to start with The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea.
Yay! We have a winner. Matt is going to start reading The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. That's for you.
So which one are you going to start with?
I don't know. This one, I like the cover the best. I love the way it looks. This seems fascinating to me. Oh, I don't know. Alright, I'm just going to start with this. I'm going to do this one. Okay. Is that a good choice?
Sure, yeah. They're all good.
Alright, so I'm choosing All Our Wrong Todays, and I'm choosing only because I think this is a great cover. In a week, we're going to San Francisco, and that is a 5-hour flight. So we will probably be getting a lot of reading done on the flight. Yeah. I don't know how much reading we'll get done in San Francisco, which is another reason why we wanted to make sure we had enough time to finish our books. So we will see you in San Francisco. Alright, we are here for an update on our book reading. I'm not doing great. It has been raining most of the time, but that hasn't stopped us from going out. But going out has stopped us from reading. So even on the flight over here, I think I was just too excited or something. I wasn't reading.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel like every time I travel, I don't know, for whatever reason, I have a hard time keeping up with reading. I'm just not feeling it as much as when I'm at home.
Yeah. I switched over to listening to the book. I started reading it, but there's a lot of science jargon in there. The guy is playing it off like, oh, I'm not that smart, so I don't know anything, but then gives all this science stuff. So, and also it's kind of like a flippant, maybe not flippant, but the guy's supposed to be like some like guy who talks really fast and is like some free spirit and blah, blah. I think I was reading it incorrectly. The author is the person who's reading the audiobook, and so he's putting a lot more inflection on things and a lot more where there's sadder parts, he's reading it sad, where I was reading it with the same flippant attitude as the beginning of the book, and so it's adding a little bit more human, like it's seeming a little bit more realistic with the more human element. And in listening to the book now, I'm catching some things that I know I was missing when I was reading it because I was kind of skimming over it. So I think I'm 15% of the way through the book. Each chapter is about a page and a half. So I think I'm 15% of the way through and I'm like chapter 15 or something like that. It's crazy. How you doing with your reading, Levy?
I'm doing okay too. So I'm about the same way through. A few chapters in. The author, so Axio, does a really good job of, in addition to this great world building and introducing you to all these characters who you really feel for, of setting up very high stakes, but she does a little bit of she's moving the target a little bit, because you first come into it with like, oh, here's what I think the tension and the high stakes are going to be, and then it's a little bit of a switcheroo. I'm like, oh no, there's another thing that you have to like be nervous about and worried about, and with like a hard time limit around it, and the stakes are very, very high.
It's really hard to hear the opinion of a book you love and not want to interject, especially knowing the rest of the book. So that's where we are. Not very far in our books. Today is January 6th.
7th is tomorrow, 6th.
Today is January 6th, so we can't be too hard on ourselves. We're only 6 days in, and we've just spent a week on vacation. We're on our way home tomorrow, and so we will be in an airplane. We were in an airplane coming here, and we didn't read anything. So we hopefully will be in an airplane reading things. I brought my Switch, so it is possible I will be playing Mario Kart, but hopefully I'll be reading. All right. See you back in Chicago. Bye. Hello. We're out here walking our puppies. As far as I go, I'm not going to give too much of an update because I finished my book. I got to a part of the book that was just super good, and I wanted to crochet something, so I sat there for about 4 hours. I crocheted and I finished up the book. But Matt has not finished The Girl Beneath the Sea. Matt, how's it going?
So it's going really well. I'm like 2/3 of the way through, I think. So I think we're probably right at like the peak of all like the exciting things happening. So I can see even now, without it having ended yet, like why this is a book that you like so much. I think that Jill has a real knack for books about unusual gods, or gods who are interacting with humans in ways that are not like the Western Christian traditional way, and humans interacting with those gods in different ways as well. So it's really interesting. The characters are all very strong. They surprise you quite a bit. I'm excited to see where this goes. I should be done in the next day or so.
All right, so there you have it. I finished my book.
I'm not done yet. That's mine.
Matt is finishing his, but he'll be done shortly. So the next time we see you, we should be wrapping it up. Bye. All right, we're back. we finished our books. I finished All Are Wrong Todays.
I finished The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea.
All right, so these are our very first books of 2023. So let's talk about what we think, right? I finished All Are Wrong Todays. This was one of Matt's favorite books from last year. I started reading this book, and then at some point I went to the audiobook because there was a lot of science, and I don't like reading science. When you start reading the book, it's kind of like a flippant attitude. At first, when I was listening to it, I was like, not only do I really not like this book, I don't know that I really like this author. Not because of how he writes, because the writing is very good, but just kind of like what's set up as his belief system in the beginning of the book. So I was like, I don't know. I don't think I like this book. And then I was feeling really bad because last year I read, Hey, dogs. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Sorry, our dogs are like over there fighting. So anyway, last year I read Interview with Abraham Lincoln. Interview with Abraham Lincoln Vampires. Last year, Matt recommended Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and I hated it. And so when I was reading the beginning, I was like, oh no, I'm going to hate another one of Matt's books, and he's going to be so sad. And so there was the incident where he goes back in time and ruins something. And something I don't like in books, in movies, is when some bumbling idiot is going to ruin everything, and you know the bumbling idiot is going to ruin everything. And I just, it's so hard for me to read and to watch. So I was sitting there reading it. I'm like, oh God. And so then right after that, I was like, just keep listening. It's going to be fine. And then it got really good. It got so good. Oh my gosh. I was like, I'm going to hate this book. I was going to finish it. But once I got past that bumbling idiot stage, the book changes in ways that you did not expect. There's these twists and these turns, and the twists and the turns aren't just in what's happening in the book. The twists and turns are what's happening in the belief system of the narrator. And it is incredible. It's such a good book. Good recommendation, love. I don't think I've ever started not liking a book and then a little bit into it flipping and really liking it. And so not only was it a good book, but it was a new experience in that I was able to like it. I liked it when in the beginning I was sure I wasn't going to. It's just a really good story. It's very twisty, very interesting, but the twists are incredibly unexpected. So, because leading up to the mumbling incident, you know what's happening. You know what's going to happen. You're filled in, and then that incident happens, and it's just like,
Because he tells you, and it's in like the blurb of the book, like what the setup of, like 2016 sucks, and why, and then.
Yeah, so it's just like, ugh. And it's a fairly decent chunk of the book, and then after that, it just becomes something that you would have never guessed, and I really liked it. Good recommendation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think you'll really like both of these other books too.
Okay, what do you got left?
I thought, so just to be honest, I thought you would have liked this one the best.
Oh.
So it was like All Are Wrong Todays. I thought, okay, you'll probably like this. I thought you might not like this one.
Oh, so I should read this one.
I thought you would eventually, I thought it was going to go the way it did for you, but I thought you'd like this,
Oh,
all
interesting.
The way through. Well, you might not like the format of Sleeping Giants, but anyway, I was a little bit disappointed when you picked this instead of Sleeping Giants.
All right, love. How about you?
I read The Girl Beneath the Sea by Axio. Longtime listeners, viewers of this channel will know that this is one of Jill's favorite books of all time. So Jill's said a lot about this book already. I will give you my concise thoughts about it without spoiling it. This book is really, really very good. I think, as you'll see earlier in the video, I'm probably talking about how impressed I am with Axio's world building. Both, like, there's two different worlds going on in the same time, and you're fully engrossed in both of them, and you care about these characters very quickly. When she gets to the spirit realm, you're introduced to a couple of different characters as well, and the journey that they take on together is unexpected and exciting, and her strength and self-determination and where she draws that inspiration from, and like how you learn about her life and her history, it's just like non-stop enjoyable. There was no filler in this book. There wasn't.
No.
I was never like, oh, I'm getting bored here. Yeah. I read most of it in digital format, and then toward the end I started listening to the audiobook a little bit, and so the audiobook is also very good, although the narrator speaks with an English accent, which I wasn't expecting. I don't know if Axio is British or English, but anyway, that lent to another, like, a bit of depth to the story for me. There's some really good reveals and twists at the end that were, some of them were expected, but some of them like came as a big surprise. The stakes kept getting raised, and it was like there was no lulls throughout. It was just like build, 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 and I think most anyone reading this would be satisfied with the ending. So yeah. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 5 stars as well. I mean, all these folks surrounding, well, you got to read the book to see, but there's like this gang of folks surrounding Shin, who she meets pretty early in the spirit realm, and all of them like take an incredible evolution. Like at first you're kind of like, I don't know about these folks, and then you just come to like them, and their relationship with Mina changes over time as well.
I think maybe that's what I really love about when I have a favorite book, because I think you just said it, is when they're kind of non-likable in the beginning, and then at the end they've redeemed themselves and they're good. Well, not good, but they've not redeemed themselves, where they're not likable in the beginning, and then throughout the book you can see events that are changing them, and they slowly become a little bit different and a little bit more self-aware.
And that's interesting because, like, as your perception of the world is growing and you're getting more depth and you're learning more, but the characters, they're growing as well.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like you're on this journey with them.
Yep. All right. Well, these are our books.
Thank you for the recommendation. It was,
you liked it?
Very good. Yes, absolutely.
Good. All right. So, successful first book of the year. See you next time.